v.h.s.x? What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to have a discussion about a video from Prion DVD, who is a comp player, comp caster, up and coming, stuff like that. So I definitely will be very inclined to hear the perspective of somebody who even plays the game competitively about the titled video here, Top 5 Killers Who Need a Buff in Dead by Daylight. And anybody who has been tuning in to the streams or watching the videos know I have a lot to say when it comes down to buffing killers who definitely need them, and I got a lot to say. So I'm interested in hearing in what Prion here is going to pitch for us. Let's get into it.
With that out of the way, let's get right into number 5, Ghostface.
Yeah, right off the freaking bat. You know, it's really funny because there's always the very few that will say that Ghostface is fine and doesn't need a buff, doesn't need changes. But I gotta say, how do you explain every single person claiming that they're bad? I mean, Hens is supposedly a Ghostface main, says he's terrible. Spooky Loops has used Ghostface extensively and shows he's terrible. The top Ghostface mains in the world, from what we understand, SK says he's low tier. Shrouded Ghostface in a top 10 says he's low tier. I'm a Ghostface main, I say he's low tier. A compcaster here says he's low tier. I mean, what else is there to say? I mean, we've all got thousands upon thousands of hours all combined, and we're all saying the same thing. I mean, that must mean something. But either way, I'm interested to hear maybe what the Prion has to sort of pitch for us in terms of changes. I've already spoken about it extensively. I have 2 videos on the channel talking about potential Ghostface changes, and I'll put those at the end.
As the only pure stealth killer in Dead by Daylight, Ghostface honestly deserves better. He's an old design, but a very, very good one. However, he's been severely power corrupt as Dead by Daylight has grown over the years. How exactly he could be buffed is kind of a complicated problem. If you were to remove or lower the cooldown on his stealth, give it to him like Wraith has, he could just constantly expose everyone in chase with no counterplay, just turning his stealth on over and over until the survivor is exposed. If you make it too hard to reveal him, survivors will have a really unfun time playing against him.
Well, one thing I will say in contrast to what Prion is saying here about the revealing mechanic is the fact that the reveal mechanic as a whole is very buggy, which is, I mean, goes without saying, but it's still very buggy, as we know. There are instances where survivors talk about that they've gone against Ghostface before and find it very difficult to reveal him. They could be staring right at him out in the open, he's not being revealed. And as somebody who plays Ghostface for as long as I have, especially, it seems like you're getting revealed through walls, you're behind cover, you're revealed. It sort of has this weird like meter thing where like if you're seen for a little too long, it just completely fills and it just says that you're revealed, despite you being behind cover, despite you being, you know, leaning off of something and stuff like that. You just instantaneously get revealed even through walls and things like that. Very buggy. So it's interesting that like when people go against him, for some reason it's hard, but then when you're playing as him, it's like you can't get into cover quick enough. Like you're constantly just getting spotted. Like it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it, but let's continue.
And his reveal mechanic already barely works. Here's what I would
Okay,
do
well,
with
never
Ghostface,
mind that.
though.
He mentioned that.
Now, this is just me thinking out loud. Maybe this would be a train wreck, but it seems like it would be really fun and make him stronger. I would give Ghostface pure, transparent stealth like Wraith, but only until he starts a stalk. Because the whole...
Ooh, I've never heard of this idea before. Make him like kind of like almost invisible. Like, wow. Huh, I've never heard that before. That's kind of cool. Oh my. I like it though. And I like it because keep in mind that this Ghostface we have in the game has nothing to do with Scream, which already is one of the reasons why I hate the character. But beyond that, because it's like it's a 50% original pretty much, you know, it's the whole thing with the lore and the entire design, besides the actual mask itself, is an original like character, you probably can get away with making him invisible. You know what I mean? He is considered by behavior standards like the entity's favorite because of the way his little stupid streamer things float. And the thing with that is like, okay, so why isn't the entity making him better or stronger to do his job? I don't know, but I like the idea of making him invisible until he starts stalking, because it will at least help him for like with stealth in general, because he does struggle so heavily, you know, with map traversal, getting spotted really easily and stuff like that. And if we are saying that we're gonna get rid of that stupid revealing nonsense, just make it so that he's invisible until he starts pressing the stalk button and actually can be spotted at that point. I think he could make him pretty lethal, make him pretty scary, and we'll still maintain that core stealth thing that people do enjoy about him.
The theme of Ghostface is that you don't see him until the last second. If he wants to M1 attack out of that cloak, it would probably go on a really long cooldown, just to encourage him to actually do the stalking playstyle instead of just hit and running like a bargain bin wraith. So just a thought. I haven't really fleshed it out, but
I like the idea already. I think it's fantastic. Right off the bat, I'm for it, because like I've said many times when I've talked about Ghostface, Ghostface is so basic bargain bin garbage that it's like you can give him literally anything and he would probably be better overall. Like he could literally go increase in strength with just any change. You can give him increased vault speed and increased lunge distance like Myers does in tier 3 when he marks somebody, and that would be crazy. You could see a difference already. It may not be a lot, but it's something. You could literally give him the idea that we just heard, make him invisible until he starts stalking someone. That would already increase his strength exponentially. You can give him the 5% from 2v8 that he had when he's cloaked. Give him the 5%. Already a massive difference. His map traversal then increases, because he's such a basic garbage killer that you can literally give him anything at this point. You can give him anything, and he most likely will benefit from it, because he's just that bad. He's just weak. He doesn't have any chase potential, so he literally needs to catch people off guard, and a lot of maps are not favorable to do that. He's extremely map dependent. Eerie of Crows is probably his worst map. Most people who are playing Ghostface are usually using dark cosmetics, or using like a you know, like the classic robe, which stands out like a sore thumb in the middle of the sand, you know what I mean? So like your stealth is non-existent in most maps because of it. Indoor maps are maybe 2 or 3 that exist, maybe 2 actually, but the third one I think which people talk about is like Larry's, which I think Larry's is Ghostface's worst map in my opinion, despite the fact it's used in comp. I think it's because of the pallet density. It's probably what makes it a little more fair, but in regular pubs, when there aren't any rules to what people can bring and stuff like that, probably his worst map, I would have to say. I mean, people can enjoy the whole like catching people off guard thing, but gens are way too quick when you know, for that kind of stuff. I don't think you could just get away with that when you are going against tough opponents, tough teams all the time. Fastest gens in the West, you're not going to be able to just pull that off. You know what I mean? That just doesn't happen.
Something that I think would make Ghostface stronger and more fun. Alright, moving. And lastly, #1 killer in Dead by Daylight who needs a buff, the Unknown. The Unknown is the new old hillbilly. If you haven't been around Dead by Daylight long enough to know that reference, it means that survivors love the Unknown.
I kind of agree with that, honestly. As much as people love Unknown, I'm on the team where I do think that I sort of refuse to play them because of their weaknesses. I pretty much am not really interested in having to require me to take like 6 hits to down somebody. Because Unknown suffers from the same thing that Ghostface does, which is that ridiculous reveal mechanics. So you could be taking the time out to try to hide and not get revealed, but eventually they're going to get revealed unless you're quick enough. And it's it's not to say that it isn't possible. There's plenty of unknown mains. But as somebody trying to get into it, it's like you kind of need a lot of patience that a lot of us are probably not really interested in actually trying to engage in. But that I can only speak for myself, obviously, but just going off of just what characters are popular, it's kind of taking a wild guess. I would say that a lot of us probably want killers that are a little bit easier to kind of input things and get your return than having to, take a shot and then it land and then it obviously doesn't do any damage. Then you have to shoot again and then that misses and then you get revealed and then you shoot it again and then you have to try to land it. Rinse, repeat, and it's like, okay, like, all right, this is kind of getting annoying. And then besides that, obviously it's like M1, which I think he's more akin to sort of like artist, where it's like you kind of need to set up early and stuff like that, and I'm just really not interested in that sort of gameplay either. Just, which is fine. People enjoy artists, that's cool. But to play artists, nah, like it's a lot of work for a very small return.
But they love him because he sucks, and he sucks hard. Don't get...
Oh no, 100%. Unknown is not strong by any means. I would have to say, like, if we consider the fact that Unknown is pretty good in the hands of an unknown main, I mean, yeah, of course. You can kind of give them some credit, but I would never say Unknown is an A tier by any means. I think they're like a very solid B, maybe low B, maybe. Just because of the fact that he kind of suffers from the same thing that Nemesis does. An artist, where it's like you kind of have to like set up a lot and then try to like just to get the one thing. And with Nemesis in that sense is the multiple hits. You have to infect first, then hit to do a health state. And in order to even get the better version of your power, you have to keep hitting multiple people that are not infected, and it's just not great, right? Because if you're starting fresh off of a chase from the very beginning of the match, it's going to be trying to use the short range tentacle to try to get the infect first, which you're still only going to be in tier 1. So then you have to land it again to get into tier 2, and then I don't even think that you're even going to get the down yet, because by the time you get the second hit, it's the first health state, and then by the time you get the third hit with your tentacle, it's actually the second health state to down them or whatever have you. And it's just it's just way too much investment for just simply just getting a hit. So to me, I don't really want to go through that sort of process when I'm playing characters like that. Like, the game already is not balanced for for killer anyway.
You're wrong. I love the Unknown. His design is peak horror, he's fun to play most of the time, and he is absolutely perfect as a love letter to the found footage and creepypasta that defined the 2010s.
I completely agree with prion here. I think the marketing was fantastic. I like the cosmetics for Unknown. Unknown is probably like fun to play. I haven't played them since their release, but still probably fun to play. Like I've said, great cosmetics as well. Very satisfying sound effects in a lot of ways. Pretty interesting voice lines, things like that. Overall, great character. But the thing is that like I'm focusing more so on the mechanics. That I'm like, why do we need so many hits to just do the one thing? Like, if the purple orb thing that we shoot out just already did one hit of damage, regardless, then I'd be like, okay, he's probably a lot stronger, but you have to first infect him with it, then hit it again, and then hit it again. So that is the hard part.
But he has some seriously glaring issues that make him very weak, specifically against competent survivors. His first issue is that his projectile is far too slow. It is just too easy to dodge v.h.s.x at anything more than 12 to 15 meters away.
Oh no, I agree with that too. Like, it's a very loud sound effect. It makes like that squishy, gurgly noise when it first comes out, obviously, so people hear that, of course. And then you obviously can see it as well because his posture changes and stuff like that. and it is quite slow. I mean, the thing is with with that shot speed is that because it's so slow as well, people can just kind of slightly move to the side out of range, and it just doesn't connect, which already costs you because then it goes on full cooldown for quite a while, and then you have to try to set it up again, and you know, it's not like it's completely impossible. His map, like the unknown's map traversal is quite good, but obviously can also be destroyed, so not super good.
The projectile slowly arcs through the air and then has another delay before it explodes on the ground. And any survivor that can press their A and D keys a little bit has a very good chance of dodging UVX at any significant range. His second problem is that his cooldown is too long on UVX for...
Oh no, I 100% agree with that too. Golly, I 100% agree with that too. 100% agree with that too.
what the duration of weakened is, and he doesn't have enough time to line up a damaging shot. So the way that...
Because the reason that he might... Prion's probably going to explain this, but the time it takes to actually infect, then the revealing stuff, because all they have to do is look at you, so then you have to deal with revealing, and then the amount of time it would have to take to actually like line up your shot. Then by the time you fire it, you're probably revealed, they probably already disinfected or revealed or whatever you call it. So then they're not, so then that next shot that you might connect with will just refresh the weakened, and it doesn't actually damage them, so you just wasted even more time in chase that you didn't really need to waste. So yeah, no, not great.
UVX works, survivors getting around corners and then making distance away from areas that could be like hit through a wall on unknown, it really delays the time that he can actually line up a shot that's actually guaranteed to land, or even somewhat guaranteed to land. If you wait for the perfect shot too long on unknown, the survivor is going to get rid of their weakened. The time that it takes to remove weakened and the time that it takes to cool down a new shot on unknown leaves him about 2.5 seconds to land a follow-up shot on a survivor who's actually looking at him, which is most of them. That's simply not enough time to hit such a slow projectile that bounces and
yeah, it's a slow projectile, and you also have to bounce it off of a surface for it to actually start to hit them, because if you shoot through them, it will go through, but it, like, the projectile will go through them and hinder them, but it won't hit them and deal damage.
A slow projectile that bounces and survivors can just not hug a tile to not get hit by. His third problem is his inconsistent bouncing. I cannot count the number of times that I have lined up a perfect UVX shot on a survivor, only for it to hit a random twig on the ground or a blade of grass and just do nothing. It really needs to be ironed out. I know that it's supposed to be the bouncing projectile, but it's just a little bit too wild to be consistently fun sometimes. So his fourth problem is the reveal buffer window. If you've ever played against the unknown and tried to remove your weakened by looking at him, you'll realize that sometimes when you go behind a wall and you're not looking at him anymore, the weakened removal keeps going for a little bit, 1.5 seconds to be exact. This is called the reveal buffer window, and it's one of the main things that makes him extremely difficult and frustrating to play against competent survivors. They can buffer this window by going in and out and behind things, and they're still revealing you the whole time, but you can only see them and hit them for a very small amount of time. So this reveal buffer window really needs to be changed. It makes it very frustrating and difficult to land UVX shots on.
I completely agree with that as well. But that will be it for me in this video. If you want to watch the original video where he covers his 4, 3, and 2 spots in the top 5, you can watch that, linked in the description. But my final thoughts, after talking about Ghostface and Unknown, I gotta say I completely agree with these ideas, and what makes them weak. And Unknown, yeah, Unknown needs a little bit of some changes to really, I would say, climb to maybe a high B, maybe a low A. You know what I mean? That would be nice. But with that being said, appreciate you guys watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section while you're down there. Check out the description for ways to support the channel. Consider following on Twitch to watch me play Killer live. And consider following on TikTok for more content. I'll see you guys in the next video.